Hey, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Straight Up Show podcast. I am your host, joined by my co-hosts, Brandon and Lee. How you guys doing today?
Man, I'm super well.
I am here and ready for this year to be over.
It's
Man,
been forever since I've been on the show. Been busy.
yeah. It's been busy, and we're gonna talk about why you've been so busy later on in the show. And Lee, you kind of said, "Hey, it's been a crazy year." And if you all been listening, this is our season 2 finale. Man, wow, this is crazy. We're at season 2 now. I mean,
We did it.
yeah. And it's crazy, is that we've done, and first off, before we go any further, I want to thank all of you out there who have been listening and supporting us, buying our merchandise, which we did this season. And you've all actually bought a lot of our merchandise, more than I expected. So thank you for supporting. And just get a quick plug right quick. You can go to straightupshowaboutpodcast.com and get all your straight up merchandise because we want you to join the conversation. So that's one of the biggest things that's happened this year. Lee, like you said, man, it's been a crazy year.
Yeah, man. It's been a year of ups and big downs. I think the downs may have been a little bigger this year, but it is what it is. I mean, just to I guess kind of start getting into it. We got the whole pandemic thing still going strong. Yay, Corona. That was a joke, guys. I'm not actually cheering for the coronavirus. Uh, but yeah, the lockdown hit everyone pretty hard. But I know for me in particular, it's given me a little more time to focus on other projects and stuff like Straight Up, for instance. And this show has kind of gotten me through the year. It's been a real nice thing to have this creative outlet, uh, to be able to, even just to come together with y'all and just kind of air our grievances about what's going on in the world, about how it's affecting our health. It's definitely affected my mental health. But like I said, this show is keeping me going. I love working on it, and I love you guys.
Oh, I love you too, buddy.
Yeah, love you too, Lee.
Oh, I'm about to start crying. Can we take a break? No, I'm just kidding. No, no, and I share those same sentiments with you, Lee, man. Like, it's been great working with you guys, and I think our bond has become a little stronger, and we can, if you all don't know behind the scenes, Lee has pretty much produced most of the season, and he's done a phenomenal job. He is creative, and Brandon was the brainchild by this whole podcast. I mean, kudos to you guys for sticking with me in the long run and doing the hard work that you all do. So that's greatly appreciated. So we don't want to take this year as a negative note, but some things, like Lee said, has been the forefront of negativity throughout this whole year. So on today's episode, we're going to end the season finale because at the time of this recording, the holidays are here and the year is almost over. So we're going to talk about what the good and the bad of 2020 and what we want to see out of 2021 on the other side of the break. Stay tuned.
Vaccines are here. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But don't get sloppy. We still have to practice social distancing, play safe, and be smart. The virus is still here, and only high-risk workers will receive the first batch of vaccines. And you have to take 2 doses to get the full effect, so supply is limited. And remember, we're all in this together, and it shows when we stand hand in hand, making our dreams come true.
Hey, and welcome back, guys. This is our show season finale, season 2 season finale. Once again, I'm joined by Brandon and Lee. I mean, this has been a crazy year. 2020, man, I think that it's going to be in the history books, but kids don't really read books anymore. So it'll be online for a long time. That's a punch at little kids that don't read books
They'll
anymore.
have this podcast to listen to. They'll be listening
Yeah,
to Straight Up.
podcast. Yeah. Because because you remember having those textbooks and you can look at the answer in the back of the book. Now you can go on YouTube and find anything you want to now.
Right.
Like
Could do
it is
that.
crazy.
I did that
It is
a lot.
crazy. And that's one of the things that kids had to get used to this year was doing school online, and even some kids in the beginning of the coronavirus actually graduating online. So that's one thing that's kind of, I guess, bad that happened this year. And we're going to talk about, let's get the bad stuff out the way first. This has been a crazy year. So let's just talk about kind of going month to month to kind of give a timeline of the bad stuff that happened in 2020. So just going back, man, this year started off with those Australian bushfires. You remember, like Australia was going crazy with fires. Y'all remember that?
Right.
The fires in Australia?
Yeah, yeah. When we were talking about this earlier off mic, and when you reminded me of that, I'm like, that was this year,
That was this
because
year.
it literally feels like something that happened 1 or 2 years ago. But no, that's man, what a way to cap off the year, right?
Yeah,
Start off the year rather.
yeah, and to start off the year, but that actually was going from December, which is the wintertime, into January. So it's
Yep.
like, man, just imagine, because cold air makes things dry. So it's kind of like, wow, that's just, and that, man, it almost, I think, killed like almost 34 people over like 47 million acres of Australia damaged by wildfires. And then I just remember seeing like burnt up koala bears, and
Right.
it's I remember, what's the guy from was that Pierce Brosnan? I think one of those people from down under was big on donating money to Australia. So that was kind of crazy, and I think that kind of just going on staying in January about what bad. I mean, it's not really bad, but 2020 was historic, and keeping it in January, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle say, you know what, we're gonna quit the royal, just quit the royal family. And I think the big part about that, and we don't know for sure why they quit. They wanted their own independence, and I think is because Meghan Markle was going through a lot of racism within the royal family. Did y'all hear about that story too?
I did hear she was facing a lot of pushback over there.
Mm-hmm. And I think that with her, she wanted to make some changes, and I think, of course, we all know that people hate change.
I think it was also she wanted to continue to do some things that she already had planned, and it was like, well, you can't do that anymore. And she was, to him, he was like, well, this is one reason why I love her. So now you got that scale. So I don't know. I did read a little bit of that, believe it or not.
And I think she just, it's kind of like, man, who does she think she is? Come out here and think that, she can run our royal family and do what she wants. On top of what could have been racism, which, there was some reports out there. Now, speaking of reports, man, I think the biggest one that caps off 2020 what happened to be that the WHO, the World Health Organization, announced that in January 9th, the first case of coronavirus happened in Wuhan, China. And do we even need to talk about coronavirus right now?
No, I'm quite sure we're going to have plenty of opportunities.
I was about to say, we've talked about it plenty, and I'm sure it's not going away anytime soon.
But now, let me just ask y'all. Did y'all really take it that serious in January or what?
Not
did you
remotely.
Do you remember hearing about it at all or what?
I remember it.
Yeah,
because I was still at Planet Fitness then, so that was one of the things that I was like talking to the manager. I was like, you might want to think about this. What are we doing? And he was like, nothing's gonna happen. He was completely like, we're gonna be fine. I was like, okay. But literally probably a week later, that's when the shutdown. So early January, I don't think it was that serious.
I remember working in the media when the Zika virus was a huge deal, and I feel like around that time it was getting kind of blown up out of proportion because it was still contained to so many smaller areas. And that's what I assumed was happening with COVID. But then, it surpassed everyone's expectations, and then it came to our shores, and then the lockdown started, and I was like, oh yeah, this is a legit thing. This isn't something we can just blow off.
Yeah, and I mean, even right now, like I said, I don't really want to stay on the subject
Right.
too much because it, I mean, it's a lot right now. It's a lot, and you don't want to just hear about the same thing. And so many people are going through this. As of right now, as we're recording this episode, in the world, there's been, over 67 million cases and over 1.5 million deaths. Uh, so, it's right now, scientists are trying to work on this. At this time, there have been, I think, some vaccines out, and people, that's a problem in itself because people are skeptical on taking the vaccine. And, do y'all blame them? Or, how do you feel about the whole vaccine thing?
With the percentages that they have, it sounds good. The issue is right now, it hasn't been long enough to see where the drawbacks come from. And that's where people are kind of still skeptical. Um, Even with the vaccine, it's still a two-parter too. You got to take it once, and then 3 months, you got to take the other half of it. So there's a lot that's still in the works that can still go wrong. We do have these vaccines that's currently in the works, trying to get approved, trying to get pushed. But there's still a lot of research that still has to be done for them. So I can understand.
Yeah. I'm hopeful about everything because of what Brandon was saying. Because, well, I take that back. Our country is so divided about everything. Like, it doesn't matter how minuscule the thing is, everyone has an opinion on it.
Mhm.
And facts just don't really matter as much anymore, sad to say. Um, but I mean, the thing about vaccines too is, yeah, there's a risk involved because any new product, whether it be medicine, food, whatever, there's a little bit of risk there because you have to do massive testing over so many variables of people that you don't know what side effects are going to occur or what reaction may happen in someone because of one ingredient. And that's over the next year. That's just what we're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, and the availability for everybody is not even going to be there. So it's just
Exactly.
it's an ordeal, and it honestly, since I've been alive, I've never seen anything like this. I think the craziest thing I've seen like this was 9/11, and seeing that live, and I seen the second plane
Yep.
live. That's probably the craziest thing I've seen, and but now to see this, and then the fact that people think it's fake, I'm like, really? That's the funny part about it. It's like people think it's fake, and personally,
Still.
personally, I've lost two family members to it, to COVID, and and it sucked. That's probably one of the downer things, like at least in my mental, that's kind of been bothering me all year this year. So, as Brandon eloquently says on our PSAs, wear a damn mask, and so do it, people. Not because of me, not because of Brandon, because you're saving somebody else, potentially yourself. Uh, so that's something bad that happened this year. That's kind of been like the focal point of 2020 COVID, 2020 COVID. Uh,
Yep.
I think what really got me, I think, to me, honestly, you heard about COVID in January, and it wasn't that big of an issue at all for us. But I think the year really kickstarted on January 26th, uh, when in Calabasas, California, uh, Los Angeles Laker great Kobe Bryant, his daughter Giovanna, and seven others crashed. And I just remember going, and we had like a guys' weekend with my friends, CJ and my friends, and friend of the show. And I just remember driving to go eat, and then my sister called me and says, "Hey, hey, are you okay?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Did you see what happened?" I'm like, "What? Kobe Bryant died." I was like, get out of here, you're lying. And then I had to like, don't do this, people. But I was texting and driving. I'm like looking at my phone, I'm like, this can't be real. And it was real. And then like to figure out what happened, like, maybe like a murder or something like that's what you're thinking. Then like, you hear how it happened. And then we went to the shopping center in Dallas, and this is before Corona. We had the lockdowns and everything. And I just remember being in this big shopping center and just to see a sea of people glued to their phones because it just happened. And like, I just remember it being a gray day, and it just didn't sit right that Kobe Bryant died, you know?
Yeah, I gotta admit, it didn't really hit me as hard as a lot of probably like over 60% of the world, because I'm not really big on basketball. But knowing him as the entrepreneur side of him, I understood the loss that we've just the loss that we what we lost that day, I should say, which I totally understood, and I felt like some people didn't really get. It's either you felt it on that side, the entrepreneur side, and what he was starting to do, the next phase of his life, or it's because of what he did on the court. So for me, that was the impact that he had on me and what I felt that day, that night.
Yeah, like Brandon, I don't really follow sports at all. But I mean, the day it happened, that was all that was on my social media feed was just, basically the world collectively mourning this person. And that just shows what an impact he had on the world. And I have nothing but respect for, that legacy.
And I think to me that would probably stand out. I mean, besides coronavirus, but I think that stand out because honestly, I feel like when that happened, and it's not that he died, it's how he died with his daughter. And
Yeah.
I think it's what got a lot of people. And it wasn't like a slow death. It was like, falling, helicopter. And I think that's really what got a lot of people how it happened. And his daughter was 13 and he has a family of I think four, three kids now, like without a dad and a wife without a husband. I think that's just kind of how it hurts, and just to see the world mourn together. And I think that just kind of transitioning how the world mourns together. We'll fast forward to like, just go ahead and fast forward, uh, kind of like in the March and April areas to where we have the police involved killings of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor, and so many more people that died. But it was definitely George Floyd that sparked the world. And a lot, like y'all said, we had a lot of division this year. But I think that I tell this to a lot of people, it's because this has been a very political year, very political. I
Sure.
think that it was crazy that we saw more unity in the world on the streets protesting for a black man being killed by cops, because the world protested, and not just in America. And we fast forward to like April or May, but this is when COVID is ramping up and people are on lockdown. But people flood the streets with masks, the majority with masks, to flood the streets. Say, hey, you know what? This is wrong. And I think just to see like Paris and Paris um, and England and all these other places protesting because of what happened to George Floyd. I mean, y'all remember seeing all that stuff like other places? I mean, we did shows about this though.
We did, and I think the reason why first of all, there's so many reasons why that was a huge spark. But with everybody being quarantined, I don't know about you, but I'll use my experience at Walmart as an example. Just working without music and just working in silence, just being in a area where nothing is happening, you think about a lot of stuff that you normally wouldn't think about. So I think with everybody being quarantined, and then that happened, and then the amount of social media and just news hitting it, it made a lot of people sit down and think and just actually consider other sides that they wouldn't. And that was a huge reason why. That's one of the huge reasons why um, George Floyd and the protests became so huge this time around, because it's always been happening.
Yeah, always. And I think people are just more aware of these killings, And I remember to this day, I got in trouble. Uh, Professor Conley, Dr. Conley, I got wrote a paper on NWA, and because I'm a writer, I'm a journalist, so the name of the song is called "F the Police," and so when when you're doing an essay, you have to cite the source. You can't like paraphrase. You have to give the actual quotation. So, and I was trying to tell the teacher that, hey, this is what they were saying on the streets. This is in the 80s. Like, this is what they're saying. This is kind of like foreshadowing what's in the streets. And I got a C on that paper because I use curse words in it. But I'm like, I'm sorry, this is me on my soapbox right now. But like, I did a paper on them because it was foreshadowing what's going on in the streets. A lot of people don't understand that. And so I think the protest or the killing of George Floyd did spark, hey, this is really going on. This needs to stop. And, that would actually catapult to so much. And it would actually make, hold a platform for Joe Biden to be the president, or eventually be the president, but be a nominee for president, and have so much people actually say, hey, this is what we want to vote for and what we want. And, that came about. Kind of just fast forwarding a little bit, there's so much that happened this year, but I think that we're trying to get the biggest ones that stood out. And I think, Lee, the one that really stood out the most to me, and like when it comes to celebrities, was outside of Kobe Bryant, was Black Panther star Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, that one probably hit me the hardest too. Like, honestly, off the top of my head, I don't know if I've seen him in anything outside of Black Panther. But what was so especially tragic about his death was it just took away that potential of what we would see from this guy, because just that one performance alone sold me on this actor. And I'm like, I will watch you in anything. Put it in front of my eyes, please. But he's gone now, and I'll never get that chance. And that's the tragedy.
Yeah, well, for one, that was, to me, that was my, after Chadwick Boseman passed, that's when I finally realized how people felt about Kobe Bryant. Not really trying to compare. I'm just saying, to me, that was somebody I was following, watching closely, especially being in the film industry. I was kind of a little bit more tougher on his acting, because me and you talked about this, Calvin. I was I want to see him work on a role that doesn't have so much material. I want to see him work a little bit more, not discrediting how great he was at replicating the historical figures he did. But 21, I think it was 21 Bridges. Like, that was the first one. I was like, he did an amazing job. And just the speeches he always had, and the interviews I watched on him, and how his mindset was. I think of his mindset and the type of person he was and the things he really wanted to do, me knowing that will not happen anymore, I just could not do anything the rest of the day, because I had to process that.
Yeah, and we actually have a uncut version of unedited, unrehearsed, uncensored episode of a tribute to Black Panther star Chadwick Boseman. We will release that sometime soon. I don't know when, but we do have that. And like Kobe, Brandon, I think that it's how he died that really kind of hurt more, because he kept it a secret, that he had cancer. And I think that he held it secret, and that he was young. He was 43 and he had cancer. And, because a lot of people gave him a lot of flack about losing weight because he thought for a role or whatever, but didn't know that he was sick. So I think they and then him to finally die. Hey, we were giving giving him crap about his losing weight. He died, so it kind of made you feel bad too. I mean, and you talked. I said, I was very critical of his acting, because not, and it's not just this. It's really like a cultural thing. Nothing like against him. It's just a cultural thing, and because he was like the go-to black guy. Like, hey, play Jackie Robinson. Hey, play James Brown. Hey, play Thurgood Marshall. Even though Thurgood Marshall was like 10 shades lighter than him, and it's like, and so that was the critical part me and Brandon will always talk about, because I wanted like an actual martial artist as a Black Panther, but that does not take away his great art. I mean, he was a true art to acting, and just to hear how he gave back to other people of color who wanted to act the way that Denzel Washington gave back and the way Felicia Rashad gave back, that really stood out to me. Because I mean, if you don't take anything from our show, man, always pay it forward. Always pay it forward. So we lost some more figures this year. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she died this year. Very phenomenal Supreme Court justice, Jewish lady who was just fierce, powerful and fierce, and lost her. And she made one wish, and she didn't get that wish before she died. And don't want to talk about that too much, but politics played a big deal this year. It just divided us, and I don't know what it was. And that was like just I don't know. I just never seen this much division in my life, Lee. I mean, have you seen anything like that? Do you think have you ever seen anything that's political this year or what?
Honestly, I think maybe it's always been there. It's just over the last 4 years, for some reason, a certain group of people have become emboldened and empowered, and their voices are being heard way more than they were before. Because before, we had this nice little thing called shame, and it worked really well, and it kept all like the racists and the other assorted bigots in check. But that shame has kind of disappeared. Uh, but my hope is that with the next year, maybe that shame can grow again, and they'll return to the shadows, and we won't have to hear from them ever again.
This is why I like working with y'all, because I'm trying so hard to be mutual, and you just like to, what I'm trying to say, you just go there. But I love it though, man. That's why I love working with y'all. Because we have a rule on the show, and Lee knows the rule, and Lee just loves tiptoeing it, but it is straight up. So I mean, it's been a bad year, but some great things have happened. Brandon, just tell us, like, just tell us something bad that happened to you to you this year that maybe that you just want to like just forget it. What was your like, man, forget 2020 moment?
Oh man, you know what? Why you have to pick me for this? As somebody that always try to look on the bright side, I honestly cannot think of one. I feel like I have had one, but it kind of isn't really toward 2020, because luckily, like I said, well, no, actually, there is one thing, and it has something to, like, Lee, you didn't know, because I don't post things, but my grandfather died. I think, yeah, officially last month. So me, and trying to be precautious and not try to be around family, I've always had that sense of I should, especially the last couple of years, I should try to not to work so hard, work so much, and try to spend time with family. I mean, that was one of the reasons why I became, an entrepreneur, and became a freelancer. So I started my own business. But of course, with wedding and stuff, between that, COVID, and trying to keep my distance from family members, there was a lot of regret that I couldn't see him as much as I should have. So that's probably the only thing this year for me.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Like, our condolences to you and your family on that. Lee, what was your just just forget 2020 moment.
Yeah, let me say, Brandon, I'm sorry to hear about your grandfather as well. Yeah, this is the first I heard of it, so I do apologize. I
That's
should
all
be a
good.
better friend, but but yeah, I've been lucky enough this year that I haven't. I mean, I've had a distant relative or two that I've maybe spoken to twice pass away this year, but no one especially close. But that's always a hard thing, especially if it is someone like a grandparent or a parent or whatever. There's always going to be that guilt of, oh, I didn't spend enough time with them, and you can't let it eat away at you. But I mean, in comparison to Brandon's, mine is pretty dang trivial. But at the same time, this happened to me probably right at the midpoint of the year. So it's just, the year in general was already kind of catching up with me. And I was carrying, I guess, a lot on my shoulders without kind of realizing it. It's, all these little things that just add up, one thing at a time. And I guess the straw that broke the camel's back was we had a really bad thunderstorm come through, and lightning fried a good chunk of the electronics in my house, including a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One, which is like almost $1,000 to replace. So I'm currently Xboxless because I only was going to replace one console. So in the year the PlayStation 5 came out, I spent $300 on a PlayStation 4 because I'm smart.
I like how you look at the bright side of everything.
But yeah, I mean that was just like, it was a tipping point for me, and I've my mental health is not great in particular, and this year has just kind of taken a toll on it. But that moment in particular, I was just like in a depressive fugue state for like a month. And it's over a video game, who cares? But for me, it hit me like that.
Yeah. I think there's like more to it though. Like, it's kind of like, it's just like you said, it's a tipping point.
Right.
And this kind of like, and I share those same sentiments with you too, because I mean, my just 2020 moment. Ooh, I said a cuss word. Um, was I think was to have like 3 family members die back to back, 2 in 1 week, and I think that just kind of culminated. I mean, I mean, if us 3. I mean, I don't know about Brandon, but I know us. I mean, Brandon, probably you too. But this year has been a this mental period, and I don't know. You have to be strong to come out and say, I've dealt with depression this year. Even and I agree with the president. Depression is big this year. That has been an issue, especially when one thing kind of really hit me hard was not going to Brandon's wedding because I'm high risk, and not knowing how dangerous COVID was, and and if you listen to our show, you know that I've almost passed away 2 years ago, and so that mental aspect of not getting COVID, being a bigger guy, and not chancing it, that's the paranoia that I've been dealing with, and it is not bad paranoia. It's just that, hey, you're feeling guilty for being healthy, and it's like you want to do the things you used to do, but you can't, and you have to take a pause back, and hopefully, Lord willingly, things will be better tomorrow. And so I think that as far as my mental side of it, I've dealt with some unexcusable regret, I guess, because it's not, hey, you shouldn't be, have a pity party, that's life. But at the same time, it's kind of like I can say, hey, I'm depressed about this, and I can actually acknowledge it. To where last year, I mean, I was just brushing it off. And Brandon, like I was just, last year was hell, and so I mean, it's kind of like it was bad, but I was able to like look into it and not be so. And luckily, I have these 2 guys to talk to outside the show and vent to. So I mean, that has been definitely a blessing in disguise. And so we're gonna kind of leave on that note. 2020 was bad, but there was some good in 2020, and we're gonna talk about that coming up next on the other side of the break.
Tired of the same old boring clothes? Want to support your favorite podcast but don't know how? Well, you're in luck. The Straight Up Show podcast store is finally here. In our Teespring shop, you can find all the merch that tells the world you're keeping it straight up. From t-shirts to masks to even leggings, our store has you covered. Just visit straightupshowpodcast.com and click that merchandise button. That's STR8 upshowpodcast.com.
Okay, so enough crying. We've been through some bad stuff. We cried. So no more crying. We're gonna have some positivity now. Now it's time to, like they say, pull up your big boy panties big boy pants and I guess boys don't wear pants. Well, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's like, but you get what I'm saying. So I think that this should share some positivity. I'm just giving y'all a rundown of some great stuff that happened. I guess worldwide. COVID did happen, but guess what? There was a grandma who was 103 years old, and she celebrated her 103rd birthday by not only beating COVID, but she celebrated by drinking a Bud Light. 103. Dang. I think that somehow what really was cool this year, which I never lived through, was driving movies and driving concerts. Lee, Brandon, have y'all ever been to a drive-in movie or concert?
Not driving. Actually, no. Still haven't.
No, but thanks to this year, I kind of want to now.
Yeah, right. And so that's something that's new that, because I used to watch Grease. I'm like, standing in a drive-in, standing in food. Sorry, my bad. I like Grease. Hey, I'm black and I like Grease. Not the hair Grease, but you know what I mean. The Grease, like the movie. I'm digging myself in a hole. I think was pretty cool that, like, because of the George Floyd thing, a lot of people were more aware of cultural diversity. Not just, have y'all noticed that a lot of these commercials are being more diverse and they're having more people of the LGBT community represented? They're having more people of interracial couples represented, and like even big people are represented in a way. Have y'all been noticing that at all? Or
I have, for sure.
Yeah, I literally, just today I saw a Best Buy ad where a girl was, it was like one of those stop motion claymation Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer pastiches that they were trying to do, but it was about this girl trying to find the perfect gift for her girlfriend. And I kind of did a double take because it's still something I'm actually getting used to seeing. But it always brings me it gives me a little smile whenever it happens.
What commercial was this?
Oh, it was just like a generic Best Buy ad for electronics deals.
Really? Huh. I kind of want to see that.
And I think that what's cool to me is that they just throw it out there. They're not trying to, cause some commercials hey, we have an interracial couple, we have a gay person. No, it's okay, cool. And to me, you know what? That's okay. I like it. I think what really made people mad when it first started happening was that Cheerios commercial, and they had the interracial couple. I'm like, y'all getting mad at Cheerios? It's Cheerios. You know what I mean? But I think what was really cool to me also was that Crayola, they had a diverse skin color box for crayons. And I'm like, that was pretty cool. They were and so many companies were open about diversity. So that really stood out to me. Even with us, with this podcast, we're able to Zoom each other. And so people have been doing Zoom movie nights, Zoom parties, Zoom Thanksgivings this year. Outside of the show, have y'all been utilizing Zoom or what?
Of course, with my business meetings, but outside of that, no. Kenya, yes, she has. She's been to a virtual convention, which I still don't know how it works. You've been part of a virtual convention. I still don't know how it works, but I'm quite sure next year I'll be probably at one.
And that was actually my New Year's resolution, was to, because the podcast came about, some gentleman found my old reels on TV, on YouTube long ago, encouraged me to do some work. Brandon got me, I did a podcast, etc. But one of the goals I had last year was to go to NABJ, which is the National Association of Black Conference of Journalism. I probably said it wrong, but it's for Black journalists and Hispanic journalism. And it was kind of, I thought hard, but luckily I was invited by my friend, the old coworker who's a anchor, and that was phenomenal. We were able to, showcase straight up to other people at CNN, NFL Network, and press these other people. So I mean that really helped me out, and Zoom and social media online and stuff like that helped out with this. I mean that was a good take. Thank you for reminding me of that, about that, man. I kind of didn't know about that. I forgot about that, but yeah. So I mean, I actually fulfilled one of my New Year's resolutions besides the regular lose weight one. I actually did lose weight, gained it back, but I lost it. Hey, if you haven't gained any weight in COVID, something's wrong.
I don't think I've gained. Well, I started back working out, so in that way I've gained weight, but nah, I was still kind of losing weight during the year, working a lot. So
yeah, I don't want to say about me, man. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I'm mediocre. I still look good, ladies. I'm just saying. No, I'm just kidding. I think it was really cool. Like, Brandon and I and Lee actually, yeah, we used to work for an ABC affiliate, so we used to see The Bachelor all the time. And for the first time ever this year, they had a Black Bachelor. That was big for me, anyway. Sorry.
Yeah, still
sorry.
Don't watch The Bachelor.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, there was a Black
Bachelor? Yeah, there was.
When was this? I had to think about. Wait, that's a man. That's Bachelor's a male. There was a Black Bachelor.
Yeah.
Didn't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Was there some backlash against it too, or am I misremembering that?
I'm pretty sure there was. I mean, with anything, I mean, they got mad at Cheerios. So I mean,
there was some backlash with the Bachelorette, but I'm not 100%.
That might be what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it might be the Bachelorette. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm just, I'm reading off an article right now, so I'm cheating.
No, it might. I don't know. The Bachelorette, not to get off subject, is because they basically announced her while the previous was still going. So it's kind of like.
Actually, it was The Bachelor. It was after 40 seasons. The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, ABC finally cast its first Black male lead, Matt James.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say 40 seasons?
Yeah, because they do TV seasons are like every 6 months, so just or every like 3 weeks.
God.
Yeah, TV seasons. You know how we work.
Yeah, it's just that show has been going on for 40 seasons. That's I mean, it's impressive.
It's all fake, but speaking of fake, fake news was a big trend this year. Right? Fake news was a big trend this year, which really is my biggest pet peeve, especially from working in news. So, but we do have a new president. Some people are not happy about it. Some are. We've had record-breaking numbers. Joe Biden getting over 78 million votes cast for him. Almost 150 million people voted altogether. So, I mean, but, I'm kind of PO'd a little bit because, we have the other primary elections and state elections and no voter turnout at all.
Right.
Shreveport, you disappoint me a little bit, but
it was terrible.
It was horrible. But for the national elections, we had record numbers. We also had the oldest, come January 2020, the oldest president in American history, on the biggest election in American history. And we have the first ever Jamaican Indian woman of color and the first woman vice president. Lee, that's a mouthful, man. What do you think about that?
I mean, yeah, it's great to finally see some representation in the White House. Let's see. We've had Obama. That's been it, right? There hasn't been any we haven't. Yeah, it's amazing. It's unprecedented. And oh my God, this should have happened 20 years ago at least. But I'm glad it's finally happened.
She's the first female vice president too.
Yeah, first she made history. This has been historic, and and we pushed voting a lot. No matter who you vote for at all, Your vote is your vote, but just make sure make sure your voice is heard. But this has been a record-breaking year, and honestly, and I don't know if it's like so much negativity on TV or just in the world, period. But as of right now, when the election came over with, I don't really care about the winner. It's just it feels like a sigh of relief. I'm not saying anything is wrong with the other administration. It's just that, I think the biggest thing that everybody wanted was that same hope of unity that was displayed on the streets for George Floyd to also be represented in the White House. And I think that's what America was hoping for and looking for. And 78 million people made their voices heard. And so, with that being said, we do have a new president. And so we have to hold him accountable for the same things we held the current and previous president accountable for. So that was probably the highlight of great news. So let's talk about some feel good, guys. Lee, start with you this time. What was your feel good moment of 2020?
Probably getting a project done. That's this year in particular has been kind of rough for me. I mean, I mentioned mental health wise, and in turn, like productivity wise, just making myself, hey, do this task has been tough. But like I set my mind to like, hey, there's this video thing I want to produce, and it took me a while, but I was able to get it out there. And it's this year has been an L for a lot of us. So I think we should just count the small victories, and that one. I mean, it's small in the grand scheme of things, but for me at the time, it was very big and still is right now.
Okay, and like I said, man, just I like talking to you, man, because you make things seem more better. Because like, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the spot. Just taking small victories, and I think that's what I mean. Me personally, just not, and that's not just for 2020. That's in life, period. Small victories can lead to bigger rewards, and so thanks, Lan, for telling me that. That kind of puts me in high spirits to hear that. Brandon, what's your feel? Well, I've already know this already, but what's your feel good of 2020?
I'm curious. I'm curious to see what you think it is, but
I mean, if your wife's listening, you might want to say, "Well, I think you should
that's
say."
what I'm saying. Okay.
I don't like how much you're hesitating there.
For her, it's and me and her is that wedding is over with, so I don't have to pay. I don't have to worry about that, and I can slow down again. The real feel good was getting that stimulus check and paying off a huge bill and paying off my car. So at least I said both of them.
I'm gonna retract my statement and say, go with Brandon's, because I forgot about the stimulus check, and that's how I paid for that PS4 I had to replace.
Ready for the next
Oh my god. Okay, that was emergency use only, guys. You were not supposed to use your stimulus checks for paying off cars. It was for emergency. You know what? I can't deal with this. I'm gonna lie. I use my
because I mean that's a big bill I was paying every month. That now during this, I ain't have it coming out of my bank account anymore. Do this.
Yeah. I mean, it was a form of government system a lot of people didn't need, and some people didn't need it. They're like what, $3 million, $30 million that was unaccounted for. So I mean, like, okay. So hopefully they find that money. That's a ton of money to be. I mean, I can only imagine how. I hope this next administration, like, they rebound with this this economy, because it has been crazy this year. So they used the stimulus check did help out. I mean, I was trying so hard not to spend it, but I mean, we're human, so and it did help me out too. But hopefully, hey Biden, if you're hearing me, our brother got student loans, so yeah, just saying. I would say my feel good moment of the year was honestly creating this podcast and getting some leadership from Brandon to see how it's done and take it and try to build off of it and be. I think the biggest thing with our show previously is not being consistent, and we were able to be consistent with this. I mean, we're ending. This is our season 2 finale. And we have a lot more in the tank right now. Because we can just do more shows because we've recorded so much and we've had small goals, and then we've, like I said, like Lee said, small victories. But aside of the show, I think that my biggest feel good was actually finally. I didn't think it would come so hard, but finally have some isolation to myself, which I didn't have for 10 years. And Brandon knows my personal story. Lee does too. So to have my personal isolation, and so that kind of has happened this year. It made me feel good, but at the same time, like, dang, man, like I think you're gonna take it away. Like I can't go karting or go to when I want to, or I had a free trip to Vegas for Christmas, and I couldn't go to it, and it's like, man, and I mean I could go to it, but I'm high risk too. So
2 Chainz of going to Vegas, didn't go.
Oh yeah, 2 Chainz. Well, the first time that wasn't me, that was on y'all. Second time, COVID happened, and so COVID, COVID was has played a damper, but COVID has brought some positivity. I'm glad that I was able to got a chance to fellowship with you guys. It's been a great 2020. Like I said, Lee, I love you, Brandon, love you, Lee. It has been a great year, and so we're going to talk about what we want next year to look like. 2020. Y'all think about this. Stay tuned. Coming up next.
What's up, everybody? Brandon here with Straight Up. We want you to be mindful of the importance of wearing a mask out in public. We know it's uncomfortable, but believe it or not, you are saving a life. This virus has hit our community hard, and scientists are still looking for a vaccine. So wash your hands, practice social distancing, and most importantly,
wear a damn mask.
Hey everybody, Lee here. And guess what? The reviews are in and the Straight Up Show podcast is a hit. Don't believe me? Well, listen to what one of our guest panelists, Dr. Monique Thompson, has to say.
Listen, y'all listening to Straight Up and support this podcast, because I listened in before I came on the show. I liked what I heard. They're really focusing on keeping things real and being real with you, and I like that approach. So you guys support this podcast.
So if you want to listen, donate to the show, have a subject idea, or even want to be a guest, just contact us at straightupshow@gmail.com. That's straightupshow@gmail.com.
All right, so we had the good, we had the bad, and now let's talk about the things we want to see in 2021. There's a lot to look forward to. Hopefully COVID, there's a vaccine right now, 95% effective by Pfizer. Hopefully by the time this recording comes out, maybe there can be more and more people can be vaccinated. But that's one thing to look forward to in 2021. A lot of stuff going on next year that we should happen. I know that Lee, a lot of Disney movies and TV shows are coming out. But what's something that maybe you are looking forward to in 2021, whether it be just worldly, nationally, or just personally?
I mean, yeah, you kind of tugged at my pop culture heartstrings there for a minute. I mean, we've got all the this past week, Disney announced a whole mess of Star Wars and Marvel movies and TV shows coming this upcoming year. I know this isn't like an important thing, but it's one of those things that kind of gives me hope and kind of keeps me chugging along. And this year, like Hollywood took a big hit because they had to stop production of a lot of things, and every day I'm scrolling through my news feed and I'm seeing, oh yeah, this show you like, they've started production back up again, and I'll check it again the next day, and oh nope, they've shut down because they had a COVID scare. So that was another thing you touched on, is the vaccine that, I think we'll have a little more stability coming our way, and that's the main thing I'm really looking forward to is some friggin' stability. My day job has been on lockdown since March, and I've been working from home this whole time, and it'll be nice to be able to go back to a place that has like stable internet and stuff. But yeah, that's the main thing I'm looking forward to is like just a small hint of normalcy again.
And hey, I'll take that hint. Just a hint of normalcy for 2021. Just the whole 2020 is the hint of normalcy. Because I mean, I'm the same way with you. I haven't been to my real job since March 13th, and then it's like what 2 months away. Dang man, it'll be a year.
Yep.
And I have like 80 plus pounds to thank for it. I'm just kidding. And that's actually one of my goals is to, of course, everybody's New Year's resolution is to lose weight, but it's going to be a lot to just to get back to normalcy. And Brandon, what's something that maybe you're looking forward to? You think are?
Well, for me, hopefully, I can tackle some of the New Year's resolutions that I could not do this year because of COVID and, of course, the wedding. But next year, hoping to finally take out all that debt I have and finally just finish a film, work on a short film and get it done. Of course, we also plan on moving as well. So there's that to get in the way of things. But hey, I knocked out a lot of stuff this year with all the mess going on. So for me, that's the big thing.
Yeah. And that's good to hear. Big congratulations to Brandon. Like I said, he got married this year. Beautiful life. I think the one thing I'm looking forward to is that I actually fulfilled one of my New Year's resolutions, which is probably rare for me. I stopped eating at McDonald's. So it's a good thing because they suck. No offense to McDonald's, but I've never stepped foot in McDonald's this whole year, which I'm really proud of. And that's a lie. I lied to you. I do go to McDonald's to get the free water during the summertime. So that's a lie. I've done that. But no, I think that I want to build on just, getting back to myself. Because, 2 years ago, even last year was horrible, 2018, 19. And, just to have some sense of normalcy mentally outside of COVID and the loneliness, that's a big win for me. So I want to build off of that. And, with the help of Brandon and Lee, we've been able to make this podcast. And, we started from the bottom up. And I was just talking to Lee about how, we started from just, make with some scratchy mics in the beginning to like doing the second season to like getting merchandise and to a website. So, Lee, I definitely want to build off of that.
Oh yeah, I'm super looking forward to seeing where we can take this thing.
Yeah, and like I said, man, big thanks to Brandon too for, putting the ideal out there and like getting us started, man. Really appreciate you.
Oh yeah, you did most of the heavy work. Season 2 was phenomenal. Can't wait to see what happens in season 3, going straight into 2021.
Yeah, and we want to make sure that you all are uplifted next year. This year has been a struggle. It has been a struggle, and I know a lot of athletes are mad or people who are fans of sports are mad because the athletes have not had a chance to train. And you said now you're going to have football in February and maybe in March because that's when most athletes do their training. In basketball, the seasons are starting in December, and this whole COVID impact has dominated the topic of 2021. And, we lost people, and people have lost their jobs, their homes. And so I hope 2020 is better for us as not only as a nation, but in the world, because it's impacted the world. And with the nation involved, we have an opportunity to hold our new politicians, especially the president and vice president, accountable for getting everything back to stability. And, I'm kind of hesitant on the vaccine, and how it's been politicized. And so some people are scared to take it. So that's one thing I want to really have people to encourage, look forward to, that, our government won't fail us this year and next year, and that we can actually get the help to those who need it. and give them a glimmer of hope, just something, and maybe a stimulus check too. Lee and Brandon wouldn't help.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Are you asking us for the stimulus check?
I mean, I'm not asking you, but I'm just saying, like, just throw some positivity in the air that we'll get a second run. No, no, I'm just kidding.
Hey man, I pay my taxes.
Oh man, that's gonna be crazy paying your taxes this year. That's gonna be something to look forward to. I feel sorry for people who have to do their taxes because this is gonna be an ordeal. But no, we really hope that the help.
Oh God, don't remind me.
I know, right? I think anybody that has taxes should not owe anything this year or from last year. Um, but this for you people that got the stimulus check, you're gonna have to pay that back. Just letting you know. So don't think that it's just free money. But no, seriously, I hope that those people who need the help get the help they need. Just to see people who are struggling and like seeing stories about people who lost their homes and I really hope and pray those people get the help they need and that us as a nation in the world can actually pay it forward and give back to those people who need it. And that's the only thing, if anything, that would be my 2021 New Year's resolution, is that I can see more people and actually enjoying these people and paying it forward and, having a heart. And also just seeing those people who protested this year, Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, everybody on the street together. I hope that kind of unity, progresses and not just a formality. If that makes sense, Lee or Brandon, like just, I want to see it continue. People just to continue to take care of their fellow man and just speak up against injustices and wrongdoings.
I definitely want to see more of it. There's gonna be, I think, let's hope a lot of this wasn't because of people locked in and, using a lot of this, the protesting as a way to get out and them, hopefully there's not a lot of people reverting back to their bad habits, I should say. I agree. I definitely want to see movements continue, us to continue going forward. And this wasn't just a phase. I want to see this continue. So I definitely agree.
Yeah, I don't think the movement is going anywhere. If anything, it's only going to pick up steam. I mean, as long as injustice continues in this world, I mean, people are going to have to rise up to fight it.
Yeah, and big kudos to Joe Biden for like diversifying his cabinet. That's, to me, that deserves a big head off. I don't know what they're going to do, but just to put those people in an office that can just, help those who don't think that they can make a difference. And I think that that's very commendable for him, just to take the leverage. Hey, you know what? I'm president, but now I'm going to pick my cabinet and make it as diverse and as equal as you see people of Arabic, of the LGBT community, Black community, white community, Asian community, like in his cabinet. And to me, that's very impressive. So that's something to look forward to. But I mean, I'm going to go around the table right quick and just ask Brandon and Lee. I know what y'all told me, what y'all expect, but what's your 2021 New Year's resolution? Brandon, I'm going to ask you first.
To make not a full feature again. I'm not doing that again, but a short film that I actually like. A short film that I actually like. That's going to be my big 2021 resolution.
All right, Lee.
Let's see. Off the top of my head, I'm gonna actually bite the bullet on that TV pilot I've been mulling over in my head for like 5 years now.
And I find it funny that all of us said something about media, because my New Year's resolution is to take my experience that I had at the NABJ and pray that I can land a TV on air job. So that's my New Year's resolution. I mean, I made the step to go to the conference, and then I hope that I can go ahead and go on air next year, hopefully with COVID being, and TV production going back to flourishing. So That's my New Year's resolution. So we hope that all you out there have some amazing and incredible New Year's resolution, and you don't go past the first month of doing it, because it's kind of how most people are. I know myself included, because the losing weight thing happened like not even a whole hour until, so. But no, just kidding. But this has been a phenomenal year, one to remember. And we don't want y'all to leave thinking that 2020 was the worst year ever. It's definitely a year to remember, but we have our lives, at the Americans who listen to this, we are part of one of the greatest nations in the world, and I can't be more proud to be in America. It's not perfect, but we're here. But definitely condolences to those across the world who are listening right now who lost their homes and jobs to this COVID-19 pandemic. Your hearts are our hearts and prayers are with you and your family. But we're going to make sure that you all are taken care of. Put positivity out there in the world, and don't think that you're alone with this, because we all go through it. We all going through the struggle, the mental aspect, everything. We're there for you. So, and that's what we have this show for, to go ahead and tell you about our personal experiences and not have any filter, and just be as honest and open as we can. And that's why we want you to join the conversation and come back next season, because guys, this is the season finale of the Straight Up Show podcast, season 2. So guys, hey, big thanks to Brandon, Lee, Christina. Big thanks to Desmond and CJ, who were regulars on the show this season. But we're coming back. We're going back for take a little break right quick, and maybe a monthly, maybe, I don't know. But we're going to take a little break, spend the holidays with our family and friends, and regroup and try to give you more straight up content that you like. That's it for season 2. You guys can join the conversation by going to our website, www.straightupshowpodcast.com. That's STR8UP showpodcast.com. There you can look at old episodes, listen to our episodes, TV episodes too that started on TV. You can go there, look at our episodes. You can buy our merchandise. Big thanks to those who actually bought our merchandise this season. That's kind of crazily the Straight Up Vote one was the #1 seller this year.
I mean, it was a pretty big vote.
Real big vote. And I think that, we were able to help get the voice out about voting, the importance of voting. So make sure you guys can look at all our merchandise. And if you don't like our merchandise or our show, Lee, there's an email that people can go if they don't like our show. And what is it?
Yes, Calvin, that email is idon'tcare@gmail.com.
That's idon'tcare@gmail.com. Those shirts are exclusive at Straight Up Show Podcast. Until then, make sure you guys always keep it real. But the most important thing is you gotta be
straight up.
Straight up.
See you guys next season.
Brandon here. The crew and I just want to say thank you. 2020 may have been a rough year, but you, our listeners, have really helped us keep straight up going. Season 2 was a success, and we have a lot of amazing guests to thank for that. We have you to thank for that. Your support means a lot to us, so continuing with a Season 3 was a no-brainer. While you wait for Season 3, continue to enjoy this holiday season. Spend time with your family and catch up on episodes you may have missed. Above all, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next season.